dark glass straining, but when we're standing face to face, the truth won't need explaining. I know it's hard to see these things as through a dark glass straining, but when we're standing face to face, the truth won't need explaining.
It is written in the Bible that God is love. And certainly we can feel the love of this family and these people in the gifts that they bring to celebrate Kalean's life. I have been honored to have been given some letters written by various members of family and friends. Some I will read and some the author will read. I invite you to accept these on behalf of Kalean as those that remember him and love him, the spirit of love that they are written. This is from Sandy Paton, Kalean's grandfather. I am a grandfather truly blessed. I never got to know either of my grandfathers. They always lived far away from the home where my own family lived. In contrast, it has been my pleasure to have had Kalean as a nearby grandson for all of his 16 years. Ours was more than a simple family relationship. We were friends. One afternoon, when he was about 9 years old, he was giving his grandmother Caroline a hug. I looked up slyly, as old men will, and said, "Kalean, grandpas need hugs too, you know." From that point on, whenever he came into the room where I was working or reading, he gave me a big hug. This may seem trivial to you, but it meant a lot to me. And when he left us, he left in a manner we may always recall with pride. This has not lessened the painful shock of his loss, but it may help us to reach the closure for which our hearts still ache. How many grandfathers can say they have been so blessed? Sandy Paton. And from his father, David Paton. Kalean was as fine a son as any person could ever hope for. He was a wonderful brother to his sisters and loved and respected his grandparents. I am forever proud to be his father. From Aunt Marion, Uncle Robin, Eric, and Hannah. The river spirits were calling to you on that fateful day, calling you to come and play. How quickly that play turned to terror and grief as we are engulfed in sadness and disbelief. A hero is born and our young man is gone. We cannot believe that you have moved on. How will we ever carry on without you? Forever gentle, good and kind, the ultimate act of selflessness from one so divine. Kalean, we'll miss you until the end of our time. We love you. Aunt Marion, Uncle Robin, Eric, and Hannah. And now for Rob's song.
This is a lament for Kalean. The rain, it keeps on falling. The river spirit's calling. And it calls your name with a siren song. And the river is calling Kalean. A brave young man is gone. He gave all he had with grace. We just wonder, could we have done the same thing in his place? The river doesn't love, the river doesn't hate. It just keeps flowing timelessly, moving toward the sea. The rivers murmur Kalean, and in rapids shout his name, and they'll sing his song until the end of time. And the river is calling Kalean. Rain, it keeps on falling. The river spirit's calling, and it calls your name with a siren song, and the river is calling Kalean.
I'm Kalean's Aunt Mary. I wasn't going to read anything, but I was asked to read this when I helped a lady sit down just now. It says, I am Norma, the grandmother of Frankie, the friend whose life was saved by Kalean. I cannot really put into words how we feel. When my daughter called me from the hospital, she was so hysterical. I could not understand her. However, I did hear her screaming, Frankie's all right, Frankie's all right. I felt a cold chill roll over me, then relief. But then she screamed, Kalean is lost. Frankie is asking for Kalean. He said he was there and then he was gone. The cold chill returned and it remains with me. As I understand it, and no one is exactly clear about it, Frankie was being swept by the current, and Kalean ran ahead to some rocks and extended his hand. Frankie grasped it, but the current was too strong for him to get out. Kalean jumped in and pushed Frankie to a rock, which he grabbed. He was losing his grip and worked his way into a crevice by the rock and turned around for Kalean. But Kalean was gone. The joy of having Frankie still with us is so strong, but at the same time, it is so painful to even try to imagine the anguish you all must be feeling. I have tried to do so, but the prospect of even trying to imagine it is more painful than I can bear to go to at this time. All I can say is that Kalean is and always will be such a hero to Frankie and all of us. He is devastated by Kalean's loss, and I know he thinks of it all the time, as do I. This is a loss of such magnitude, it brings a pall over everyone and everything. I have asked all my friends for their thoughts and prayers on behalf of Kalean Paton, a hero to whom all of us owe such a great debt. God bless him. We are still praying for a miracle. Kalean gave one to us. His memory will be with us forever.